Recap from Part 1. Mary, a poor girl working as a cleaner in a top Lagos company, was fired because her boss's fiancée, Tonia, a rich and proud woman, almost slipped on a just-mopped section. With nowhere to sleep, Mary was left homeless. But when Charles, the billionaire CEO and Tonia's fiancé, heard what happened, he searched for her and gave her a new job, in his own mansion. But Tonia, his fiancée, made Mary's life miserable with constant accusations and traps. Until one day Tonia faked a theft that was caught on camera. Charles exposed her, ended the engagement and threw her out. Then he turned to Mary and offered her more than just a maid's role. He offered her safety and a place in his home. But some people aren't happy. Especially Charles's mother. Because in her eyes, love has a class, and Mary is way below it. Sit back, relax, Part 2 is about to take you deeper into the drama. Can Mary survive in this world of wealth, pride, and wicked schemes? After Tonia left, the mansion became quiet. Mary smiled more. She helped the cook in the kitchen. She started organizing the house better than anyone else ever did. Charles noticed everything. He started spending more time at home, even canceling some meetings. Some nights they talked in the garden. About books, life, childhood, dreams. But Mary still called him sir. You know, he said one evening, you don't have to keep calling me sir. She looked up shyly. What should I call you? He smiled. Just Charles is fine. She nodded slowly. Okay, Charles. Her voice was soft, but something in his chest shifted. One afternoon, the sound of tires crunching gravel echoed through the compound. From the large black SUV stepped out a tall, elegant woman in an Ankara wrapper, gelly perfectly tied, lips firm and eyes sharp. That was Chief Mrs. Grace Johnson, Charles's mother. She barely stepped inside before her eyes locked on Mary, who was helping the cook serve lunch. And who is this? She asked coldly, removing her sunglasses. Mary bowed. Good afternoon, Ma. She's Mary, Charles said casually from behind her. She helps around the house. His mother's face did not soften. You brought a new maid without informing me? She's more than that, Mum. It's a long story. I have time, Grace replied, already sensing something deeper. That evening, Charles came downstairs. Mummy, you didn't tell me you were coming. If I told you, you would have hidden your house girl before I arrived. He laughed. She's not a house girl. She's a friend. A friend that sweeps your floors and lives in your house? Charles, are you all right? She's not just anyone, Mum. She's special. His mother stared at him. Your father and I didn't raise you to bring shame to this family. You're a billionaire, Charles. Billionaires don't fall for cleaners. He said nothing, and that silence scared her more than anything. That evening, Mary was called into the sitting room. Only Charles's mother was there. Sit. Mary sat cautiously on the edge of the chair. Grace studied her like one would study a weak point in an empire. You know who I am? Mary nodded. Yes, Ma. Good. Then let me speak clearly. She placed her handbag on the table, then folded her arms. My son is generous, soft-hearted, and too trusting. That's what makes him dangerous. He sees people not as they are, but as he wants them to be. She leaned forward. And now he sees you. A maid. A girl from nowhere who somehow has his attention. Mary kept her eyes down. Ma, I never asked him for attention. I only work here. Exactly. And that's the problem. Women like you don't need to ask. You just smile, serve food, and let your innocence do the rest. Grace opened her purse, pulled out an envelope and placed it on the table. 3 million naira. Enough to start a small shop in the east. Or return to your village. Quietly. Dignified. Mary looked at it. Then back at Grace. I can't take your money, Ma. Grace's eyes narrowed. Do you think refusing makes you noble? I see the way you walk around here. Careful. Polite. That's how they start. Mary stood slowly, hands trembling. With respect, Ma, I didn't ask for this life. I lost my parents young. I cleaned toilets and slept on tiled floors to survive. I also didn't deceive him. Grace rose as well. Let me finish, Grace interrupted. I've seen girls like you. Polite, quiet, until they climb into the bed of the man of the house. Mary's eyes widened in shock. Ma, I would never. I don't care what you would or wouldn't do. I'm not interested in your tears or your innocence. What I want is for you to pack your things and leave tomorrow. Mary lowered her gaze, heart pounding. This is your final warning. Leave or I will ensure you regret staying. When Charles returned home, Mary was already packing. What are you doing? He asked. She couldn't look him in the eye. Your mother said I should leave, sir. I understand. He walked straight to his mother's room. Mum, why would you tell Mary to leave? She's not your wife. She has no place here. She's not trying to be. She's just someone I chose to help. That's the problem, Charles, she interrupted. You chose a cleaner, a nobody. That's not your place. He exhaled. Then maybe it's time I start deciding my own place. Grace's eyes sharpened. Is this how you repay everything I've done for you? You taught me to respect people, Mum. She's done nothing wrong. She's manipulating you. Just like her type always does. She hasn't even asked me for anything, he snapped. She barely speaks unless spoken to. She's kind, respectful, and loyal. Unlike Tonia. His mother paused. Tonia might have been a snake, but she was still our class. Mum, he said firmly, Mary stays. The next day, Grace wasn't done. She invited a family friend's daughter, Cynthia, to lunch. Cynthia was everything Mary was not. Rich, polished, foreign-educated, and very intentional. She laughed at Charles's jokes, to Marcus his arm often, and even called Grace Mummy before the food was served. Mary, from the corner of the dining area, watched the scene. Her heart quietly broke. She knew she didn't belong here. She looks good beside you, Grace said loud enough for everyone to hear. Cynthia smiled sweetly. Charles noticed Mary lower her eyes and stepped back into the kitchen. He sighed. After lunch, he went to find Mary. You're not leaving. No matter what my mother tries. But sir, this is your family. And you've become part of it. At least to me. Though weeks had passed since Tonia was thrown out of Charles's mansion, Tonia still watched from afar. She didn't need a key to his house, she had something stronger, access to his world. Her perfectly manicured fingers scrolled through Instagram stories. Charity gala at Lekki. A fundraiser for orphans in Festac. Another visit to a children's hospital. And always, Mary was there. In one picture, Charles smiled at a group of children. Right beside him, Mary. No makeup, no designer bag, but glowing. Peaceful. His arm wasn't touching her, but it didn't need to. The closeness spoke volumes. Tonia's jaw tightened. So you replaced me, with your housemaid? She dropped the phone on the bed and paced the room, her bare feet silent on the glossy marble tiles. Fine. Let's see how far this Cinderella fantasy will go. She grabbed her second phone, the one with the old contacts, the private numbers she used for dirty business. She scrolled down and dialed a number labeled Agency, Lagos Cleaners Limited. A woman picked up after 2 rings. Agency receptionist on phone. Hello, good morning. Lagos Cleaners, how may we? Tonia interrupts with cold politeness. Good morning. I'm Mrs. Tonia Davinson. I'm making an internal inquiry about one of your former contract workers. Mary Ease. There was a pause. Oh, I'm sorry, Ma. We can't release personal information unless it's official. Tonia voice hardens, cutting in. I don't think you understand. She worked in Davinson Holdings, under a security clause. And now she's living in my fiancé's house. I'm asking for records before I contact the police for a background check. A longer pause. Hold on, Ma. Let me get her file. Tonia sat on the edge of her couch, tapping her nails on the table, a wicked smile forming. A few minutes later, the agency returned. She's from Imo State. Lived in Onitsha before Lagos. Listed a cousin as next of kin, one Marcus Ease. Tonia's smile widened. That evening she went digging. She found Marcus's on Facebook and Instagram in under 5 minutes. The page screamed hustler energy, loud fashion, captions like, "Nobody holy pass," and constant rants about being ignored by family. One post caught her eye. "That my cousin way day form big madam for island, I go soon remind em say village still day." Tonia laughed. "Bingo." She messaged him. "Hi Marcus. I believe you know Mary's. I think we can help each other. Let's meet." The next day Marcus arrived overdressed. Shiny blazer, loud perfume, and fake designer sunglasses. Tonia didn't even look up from her wine glass when he walked in. "Auntie, you fine pass your profile picture," Marcus said grinning. Tonia replied coolly. "Cut the small talk. Let's talk about Mary." He chuckled and sat down. "Ah, that girl? My cousin. Very stubborn girl. Left village to come blow for Lagos. Now she no day greet person again. Even blocked me last month." Tonia slid a brown envelope across the table. "I need her disgraced. Nothing dangerous, just messy. I want her out of Charles's house and life. Expose whatever she's hiding. The village truth. Maybe a secret past. Maybe something about how she treated your family." Marcus's eyes lit up. The envelope was fat. "I sabi many things. And I still get her original documents even pictures from before Lagos polish touch em. I fit make her cry." Tonia, smiling coldly. "Then let's begin." But just when it seemed things were calming down at Charles' mansion, 2 days later, a knock came at the gate. It was a man. Rough beard, faded trousers, and a face Mary hadn't seen in years. "Marcus," she whispered. He grinned. "Long time, sister." Mary froze. He was her distant cousin, the one who once tried to sell her out in the village to settle his gambling debts. He smelled trouble and now he was here. "I hear you day live with big man now. Billionaire. Now wow. What do you want?" He leaned in. "Just small thing. 500K, I go disappear." "I don't have." "Then I go tell your Ogus say you born Pekin for village and abandon am." Mary's blood ran cold. It was a lie. But Marcus was dangerous enough to make it believable. "Please leave. I'll come back tomorrow. If I no see alert, I go scatter everywhere." Later that evening, Charles found Mary outside near the garden, wiping tears. "Who was that man at the gate?" he asked. She hesitated, then told him everything. "I don't want to be a burden," she finished. "Your mother doesn't want me here. Now this. Maybe I really should leave." Charles took her hand gently. "Mary, I didn't bring you here out of pity." She looked up, confused. "I brought you here because I saw something I haven't seen in a long time. Realness. Heart. Strength. Silence." Then he added, "I don't know what the future holds. But I know I want you in it. Not as a cleaner. As someone who matters." Her heart skipped. Then she heard footsteps. Grace stood behind them. Silent. Watching. That night, Grace stood alone by her window. She had seen the way her son looked at Mary. Not with lust, but with the same tenderness his late father once showed her, back when they were poor and love was all they had. She hated it, but she understood it. Still, she had one more test in mind. The morning was unusually quiet. Mary set the breakfast table, her hands shaking just a little. After last night, the moment in the garden, Charles's confession, and his mother silently watching them, she knew something had shifted. The silence at the table was thick. Charles offered her a soft glance. His mother? Not even a word. She sliced her yam and sipped her tea like Mary didn't exist. Mary cleared the table afterward, her heart racing. She could feel it. Something was coming. And she was right. Grace wasn't a woman who lost easily. After seeing her son begin to emotionally connect with a maid, an orphan with no background, no name, no family, she knew she had to act fast. She picked up her phone and dialed her old friend, Chief Mrs. Veronica Ogunlisi, a seasoned society matchmaker and owner of an elite finishing school in Abuja. "I need her far away," Grace whispered over the phone. "Somewhere quiet. Somewhere she can disappear." She smiled. And yes, a little generosity, will be deposited. Later that evening, Grace called Mary to the living room. She was all smiles, acting unusually sweet. "Mary, sit, my dear." Mary sat nervously. "I've been thinking about you. And I believe you deserve better. Working as a maid shouldn't be your end. So, I made some calls." Mary blinked, unsure where this was going. "There's a prestigious women's institute in Abuja. They teach etiquette, business, public speaking. They transform girls into proper women of substance." Mary's mouth fell open. "I've paid for everything. 1-year scholarship. Free accommodation. You leave this weekend." "But, Ma, I never." "No need to thank me," Grace said with a smile. "We all need to grow." Mary nodded slowly. But her spirit was unsettled. Charles came home to find Mary seated outside, staring into space. "What's wrong?" he asked. She handed him the admission letter. He read it, confused. "You're leaving?" "Your mum arranged it," she said softly. "She said it'll change my life." Charles frowned. "This wasn't discussed with me." "It's her money," Mary whispered. "She's just trying to help, I guess." "No," he snapped. "She's trying to erase you." Mary sighed. "But maybe it's best. We both know this thing between us is not normal." "Normal?" he repeated. "You think love waits for permission?" She looked up, shocked at the word he used, love. "I'm not letting you go," he said firmly. "Unless it's your choice." She stayed silent. 2 days later, Grace hosted a small, private dinner. Only one extra guest, Cynthia, the elegant woman she had introduced earlier. But this time she was dressed more traditional, less flashy, more wife material. Charles was confused. "Mum, what's this?" "Oh, just family bonding," she smiled. Cynthia was perfectly poised. She helped serve the food. She complimented Charles's business acumen. She even brought his favorite zobo. When Mary entered the room briefly to help clear dishes, Cynthia didn't even blink. But Grace smiled slyly. After dinner, Charles followed his mother to the kitchen. "What are you doing?" "She's the kind of woman that won't embarrass this family." "I'm not marrying Cynthia." "No," Grace said coldly. "But you're not marrying that orphan either." That night, Mary stood on the balcony, the Abuja Institute letter in her hand. She thought about her parents. Her mother used to say, "Never stay where you're not wanted. Even a tree knows when to bend." But she also remembered the way Charles looked at her. The softness, the warmth, the way he believed in her when no one else did. Could she stay and keep disrupting the family? Or go and protect the man she was falling for? The answer wasn't easy, so she packed. Saturday morning. Charles got home and the gate man rushed to him. "Oga. Madam Mary Don carry bag go airport." "What?" He drove like a madman, his heart pounding. He called her phone. No answer. He called again. Voicemail. Finally she picked. "Please don't come. Mary, wait. I have to do this. For you. For me. Maybe we'll meet again. When I'm somebody." He drove faster. When he reached the airport gate, she had already checked in. He stood behind the glass, watching the flight board. Her flight number turned red. Boarding. And she was gone. Weeks passed. Mary began training at the institute. At first she was lost. Girls stared at her strange accent. She couldn't pronounce half the menu at lunch. But something grew inside her, confidence. She learned. She adapted. She found herself in places she never dreamed of. Meanwhile, back in Lagos, Charles went cold. He barely smiled. He canceled all family dinners. Cynthia tried to call. No reply. And Grace? She watched her son grow distant. She had won. But at what cost? One rainy evening, Grace walked into her room and found a letter on her bed. It was in Charles's handwriting. "Dear Mom, you've protected me all my life. But this time you protected me from happiness. You may not like her, but she gave me peace. And peace is rare in this world. So I'm going after her. I don't need your blessing, just your understanding. Charles." She gasped. She picked her phone and called him. Switched off. Then she whispered to herself, "So it's true. He really loves her. To find out what happens next, don't miss part 3 of this emotional African story. Will Mary's heart survive the storms ahead? Make sure you subscribe so you never miss a moment. Like, share with someone who needs this, and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from, and if Mary's journey touched your heart. Thank you for watching. See you in part 3, it only gets deeper from here.